Welcome to the Determined Mom Show, the only marketing podcast dedicated to guiding mom CEOs into tranquility, wealth, and multiplying those precious moments. Welcome to the Determined Mom Show. This is Amanda Tento, and I have Nikki Gingrich here with me, and she is a mindfulness and meditation coach for busy and overworked moms. So she helps moms to find peace within the chaos, and we all have a lot of chaos. So welcome, Nikki.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I'm so excited to be here and yes, just share whatever I can share and helping people. Literally, we can't make the chaos go away, but we can find the peace within it.
Yeah, if we could make the chaos go away, that would be a really, a huge, you'd be like a billionaire, I think.
Right. Yes. Someone have the magic potion to make the chaos go away.
Yeah, exactly. But you have an alternative for us, which is great. So let's talk about that a little bit. But first, I want to ask you how you got started in this kind of line of work and how you got started working from home.
Awesome. Of course. So my work from home journey has been very interesting, and it is not due to COVID. This happened a number of years ago, but I got into mindfulness and meditation. I was a full-time working mom. I had my first son, so he's now 7. He's in 2nd grade. And at the time when I was pregnant with him, I was working an hour away from home. So I was commuting an hour each way. And when I went on maternity leave, I knew when I went on maternity leave that I needed to do something. Something needed to change. I couldn't return to this long commute. It just didn't, something within my gut said, this isn't right. You need to find something else. And I didn't know what that something else was because I knew that I also didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom full-time. I honor and give all of the good vibes to moms who choose that path. That was not my path. I knew I wanted to work in some capacity, and I ended up applying for jobs and trying to find a way to do it. And I ended up going back to that position, and it was just so detrimental to me. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm driving an hour to work, and I'm almost falling asleep at the wheel some mornings and crying. And it just, the emotions were just so overwhelming. I knew it was going to be hard, but I didn't know how hard it was going to be. And that was really the start of my journey. So if we fast forward, you kind of skip over a number of years because I could go into the depths of the waters. But if I kind of fast forward a few years, I really spent probably the next 4 years saying, there's got to be something. So I did end up leaving that job. I went back. I ended up finding a new job that was working part-time and was 25 minutes from our home. And it was still in the same field of work that I had worked in. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. It's amazing. I was making $0 because all of my money was going straight to daycare, but my soul was happy. And that was really the first time I went, oh, this is what it feels like to really be in alignment. But I didn't know what alignment was 7.5 years ago. So I go on this journey and I continue. I ended up going back full time to work about a year later and got pregnant again, had my second son, and started experiencing very similar emotions, but in a different setting of something's still not right. And I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And I really dived into business for myself and what do I really want out of life. And I just started this journey. I joined this company to work from home, and I started learning about personal development and personal growth. And I started reading, and I found podcasts like, God, they were such a savior for me. And I just started surrounding myself with all of these entrepreneurs and people talking about personal growth. And I still wasn't meditating at the time. That would come later. But I just kind of started this journey and just filling my brain with all of this information. And then I really got to the point where my stress level had built up so much and I was so unhappy. And I got really close to one of my mom friends that I met when our first kids were born. And I knew she started meditating. So I reached out and I said, can you tell me, you meditate? What is it? What do you do? What does it entail? And that really started my journey of what is meditation? What does it mean to be still and to be quiet? And when I started doing that, I started really tapping into that gut feeling that I had so many years ago that was something's not right. And I started learning how to listen to that gut feeling and how to make decisions from that gut feeling. But it didn't happen until I And I want to say I sat in quiet time, but it doesn't mean I sat and didn't think about anything. It was just I sat without distraction and I allowed myself to feel what I was feeling. And then that led to journaling and journaling out all of the stuff that I think I'd been holding on to for so many years, of just journaling it all out and really just emptying all of that stuff that was inside of me out. And that was really how the journey, I mean, it's over a number of years, so that's the Cliff Notes version, but the really shortened version of how I got into just mindfulness and meditation.
That's awesome. That's a great story. And I can relate to your story in so many ways because I've had all of those experiences that you described, just in different stages, or maybe not at the same time, or, just things like that. But I think a lot of the moms listening can relate to your story, because when you have that, I want to call it a feeling of impending doom, which is when your maternity leave is up, it kind of overshadows the joy of having a baby and being able to enjoy the baby and being able to really focus. It's like this back of your mind distraction, that's always there. Like you're changing a diaper and you're like, oh God, I can't do this forever. I'm not going to be allowed to do this forever. So I think it's definitely a common experience. So I love that you shared that with us, and that you shared that you found the solution and found that alignment through that process. So,
I love how you said an impending doom. It was like an impending doom. And I feel like I was also working from home, because so naive me didn't realize I'm not going to get paid for my maternity leave. Oh, well, that's a whole different ballgame. And I worked out a deal to work from home, but that took a lot of work to kind of get that piece up. So I did a partial pay, work from home, made sure I was checking emails, answering phone calls. So I never really, with either of my pregnancies or either of my maternity leaves, had that full 3 months. I was still in some piece working, which I enjoyed, but it also allowed me to see, hey, wait, I can work from home. Yeah. And this is possible to do. And also in that same respect of getting those juices flowing of, I have options. And I just need to figure out what those options are. But it's like you spend those 3 months thinking, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. What else can I do? I can't do anything else. I've got to work, or whatever anybody's situation is. And it's such a challenging time.
I agree. So what was the next kind of step for you in learning to meditate and learning to hold that space?
So for me, it really came so I started my meditation practice. Like I said, I asked my girlfriend, I said, tell me how to meditate. And she told me what she does. And I spent probably about 2 or 3 months almost muddling through. I remember sitting and being on YouTube and meditation, or I tried the apps, and they didn't have the same apps that they have now, the one that I go to now. And I just remember thinking, this is more work than it's worth. I'm Googling these meditations and they're 20 minutes long and I don't know what I'm looking for. And I just remember feeling so lost in it that I, kind of forced myself to do it, to really get into it. And I was inconsistent, and I would do it for a week, or I would do it for 3 days, and then I'd stop for 2 weeks. And eventually I stopped altogether. And then probably a few months later, it was January of 18 was kind of my big aha of, I've got to do something. And I really committed to making change. I started, and like any New Year's resolution, let's see what happens. But I said, I'm going to meditate for 30 days straight. And what I learned was short meditations without somebody talking in my ear were the most beneficial to me. I had enough chatter inside my head that for me it was, I don't want someone else telling me how to think or feel. I just wanted to sit. And that's not what I was doing in the beginning. And now I kind of alternate between the two of, do I need to sit and hear a certain message or focus on a certain thing? But in the beginning, it was, I just needed to learn to sit and be still. I didn't want somebody giving me advice or telling me how to breathe. I just wanted to sit. And that was so powerful. So I did that for the entire month of January and basically solidified a consistent meditation practice from there on out. So now you're looking at over 2.5 years now, almost 3 years of solid, not, obviously it's typically Monday through Friday, but that was the big thing, was what works for one person doesn't always work for another. And for me, it was I just needed to learn how to be still and to sit still. Maybe my mind wasn't quiet, but I needed to physically learn how to be still. And that was really step number one for me.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us moms have that same, it's just like we're always used to like going, doing this, doing that, got to squeeze this in, got to squeeze that in. And taking that time is really, really huge. Now, I have a couple questions about what you just said. What is the app that you use, first of all? And then the second thing is, do you listen to like the ambient music in the background? Do you find that that helps you to focus, or do you like just complete silence?
Oh, I can't do complete silence. Sometimes I do. I've recently been sitting out front of our porch, and of course, it's summertime while we're recording this, so you have all of the kind of noises of the outside. So that's somewhat new. I haven't done that in a very long time, where I just have nothing and I just kind of listen to the noises outside. We've also moved to a new home, so it's almost like listening to the sounds of our new house and kind of what's around us, which has been really nice. But typically it'll be some sort of ambient noise, music, soft music kind of in the background. That's really what I enjoy the most, because that grounds me very much, and kind of, I've always loved music. Music has always been something for me that if I needed to get up and dance and sing, and I was a dancer and I was in musicals and I love musical shows. I'm obsessed with Hamilton right now, and like the rest of the world is. And I think for music, if I can listen to something that's really soft and quiet, instantly settles everything within my body. And I'm like, okay, I'm here and I'm here now. And so for me, that's really what I enjoy the most. And if I'm listening to actually somebody talking in the meditation, I don't enjoy when they don't have background music. So I really appreciate the background music. And my app that I absolutely love is Insight Timer. So INSHIGHT. It's, oh my God, it's amazing. And I think it's so amazing because you can choose from different people and it's easy to navigate. It's, there are other apps out there that are great, but it's the same voice. Sometimes it's like, I know I need a female voice, or I don't want to listen to this male voice, or I just need that change, or you get a different tone from certain people. And so for me, I've really enjoyed that so much. It's like my go-to.
Yeah. And I like that it gives you little awards,
Yes.
You have that turned on. That's my favorite thing. I'm like, ooh, I've got like 5 red stars now. Woohoo, like it's kind of like the gamification thing, but I love that part of it too.
Yes, my husband does too. He started meditating a little while after I had eventually convinced him to. And his game was like how many days he could go in a row.
Yeah.
So he always loved, he's like, oh, I was at like, and he would do like 100 and some days. Like, I'm at like 100 and some days and I forgot a day. I've got to start all over. And, but that was for him, what was so big was it helped him kind of make it exciting. I'm like, oh, I got to get my meditation in so I can get my consecutive day point in today. And then he'd compete with me. And I'm like, no, I'm not competing. And then for a while I was like, I can go consistently like you can. I can do this every single day. But I haven't been using the app as much lately just because I've really enjoyed sitting in the quiet of our house. But
yeah. Awesome. I love it. So another question that I have is, what are 3 things that you would suggest that a mom might do to get started with meditation and with mindfulness in order to get started?
No, of course. And I think that's the hardest part. So I would say definitely make a commitment to be consistent. Give it a chance and try it out. If you try to meditate once, that's not really going to give you a good idea of what to expect. So really commit yourself to say, I'm going to do this for 7 days straight, or I'm going to do this for every 5 Monday through Friday for an entire month, whatever that is, but really make that commitment to be somewhat consistent. And maybe you could do like I did and said, I'm going to meditate every day for 30 days, whatever that means for you, but really make that commitment to do a longer term consistency. That would be number 1. And then number 2 would be to have trial and error, to realize that what you try the first time might not always work. And to also realize that meditation isn't just sitting cross-legged on a floor with your hands, that kind of, there are so many different ways to meditate. The purpose of meditation and the easiest way to meditate is to focus on your breathing. It is not to shut your mind out. It is not to start to feel bad about the thoughts that come into your head, because your brain doesn't shut off. I mean, even when we sleep, our brain is still going. That's what dreams are. So meditation isn't about shutting your brain off. It's about focusing. So when you find those thoughts going through your head, to look at it. And I had my therapist, who's a meditation teacher, had this great, concept, and a lot of people talk about it, of think of your thoughts as like clouds floating in the sky. And when that thought comes, you might physically look up and say, oh, there's that thought again. Okay, let's come back to breathing. Or, and this happens to me, you find yourself going down a rabbit hole. And then all of a sudden you might be listening to somebody, but you have no idea what they said or what they're telling you, because your brain has started going down some rabbit hole. And just let go of it and recognize it and say, oh, I'm thinking about it again. And then focus back on your breath. That's what meditation is. It's not quieting your mind, it's focusing your mind, and it's focusing on your breathing. And then I think number 3, so it's like being consistent, knowing that it's going to be trial and error and you're going to try different things, and then realizing that thoughts are going to happen, thoughts are going to come into your mind, and just refocus on the breath. And it's the consistency. This is a meditation practice. It's not something that you do and once and done, like, hey, I'm all enlightened and I'm all grounded. It is constant and consistent, and it happens all of the time. It's like creating an exercise program. You don't do the program for 3 months and then all of a sudden you're fit and healthy for the rest of your life. The same thing goes for meditation. It's a practice, and it's consistency, and it's over time. And you will start to see, the first thing I really saw that happened when I started meditating was I became mindful. And then I kind of learned that difference between mindfulness and meditation, that my meditation was my inner self doing the work. And then the mindfulness was kind of everything I did throughout my day. And just, you start to become more aware of, oh, I'm doing that thing that I didn't want to do anymore. Oh, here I am yelling at my kids again, or here I am frustrated at work. And you start to become more aware. And when you become more aware is then when you can start making shifts and changes.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's huge. And I think that will help so many moms out there and so many listeners, because we need it.
Yes.
Like we all have so much going on. So that is awesome. So I know that you have a 3-week intro meditation program. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And I created that program because I remembered what it was like and how confused I was when I started meditating and Googling and searching. And I understand the power of meditation, and I want it to be easily accessible for people and to be able to say, oh, this is easy. I can try this. So if you are looking for that consistency and you're like, maybe you need additional accountability, it's a self-paced program. You can add in coaching options. Obviously, you can add on calls for additional accountability, but the program itself is just for you to do self-paced. It's a 3-week program. What you will receive is every week you'll get an email with a meditation. They start at 5 minutes, and it goes up to the 3rd week might be somewhere between 8 to 10 minutes. I can't remember if it went all the way to 10, but I gradually increase each week. So it's the same meditation. And essentially what I focus on in each of those meditations is your breath. And I don't ask you to think about things or visualize, like we're not doing real crazy things. It's just focusing on your breathing, and it's different ways to breathe. So when I took my meditation teacher training, so many tools around breath that I learned that I had been doing but didn't realize they were done for a purpose, of heart breathing and ways to breathe through your nose and deep breaths and just, all those things of different ways of breathing that force you to focus. So they're almost like little mind tricks. So that's what we do. So each week you get an email with the downloaded meditation that has background music, and I don't talk all that much through it. I like to keep it very simple. And you'll also get some journaling ideas and prompts. So essentially it should take you about less than 15 minutes Monday through Friday to go through the program. Every day, 15 minutes. That's all you're committing. 5 minutes of meditation and 10 minutes of journaling. And the journal questions aren't hard. It's just what has come up for you, what has been coming through your mind, and just really helping you open up to those things that maybe have been hiding inside. But I wanted to make it easy for people. to get started and really lay out that plan and make it super accessible for them to get started.
That's awesome. That sounds amazing. I think I need to do that because I've totally gotten out of my meditation practice since like February, I think. The COVID thing has been a major distraction
Yes. And when COVID started, I was doing live meditations on my Facebook and Instagram pages because I knew I was like, I remember asking like, what can I do right now? What can I do to help other people? And I knew I was going to need to stay consistent. So if I went live, I was still making myself meditate and then was also giving that to other people just to give that space. Now I stopped doing them. I did them for about March and April, but it was just my way of like, what can I do to help people through this really crappy time that we're all trying to figure out? And when it first happened, I knew I was like, I can't give up those practices that I have for myself because I knew I was going to need that grounding and I was going to need that to get through anything that was going on.
Yeah, those are really important. And to keep on them is great. So,
yes. Yeah.
Where can people find you on the internet?
Absolutely. So if they wanted to get the meditation program, so it's at my website, nikkigingrich.com/programs, and that will take them right to the meditation program page. You can find me on Facebook at Stepping Up with Nikki Gingrich. That is the title of my podcast, so Stepping Up with Nikki. And on Instagram, I'm at Nikki Gingrich. So I try to keep it, whatever was available, I try to keep it simple. But my website is nikkigingrich.com. It is a work in progress right now. I just switched over some things and not necessarily rebranded, but kind of restarted my website. And that was a beginning of COVID project, and it's still going on. But
COVID project. The good thing is, I think we have a while, so
Yes, exactly. It's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much, Nikki, for sharing your expertise in mindfulness and meditation. We greatly appreciate it, and we look forward to taking your 3-week intro to meditation program.
Awesome. I hope your listeners do. I hope they take advantage of it. And if anybody has any questions, I'm always happy to chat and reach out and, just help people kind of find that groundedness in their everyday life.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda.
This episode of the Determined Mom Show is brought to you by the Google My Business Master Course. This course features 6 modules and 18 lessons that will walk you through step by step how you can master Google My Business and get ranking in your industry for the locations you want in just 6 to 9 weeks. This course is robust and it features step-by-step instruction. You can always access it at tdmmarketingacademy.thinkific.com, or you can simply go to thedeterminedmom.com and click on Google My Business Course. As a thank you for being a loyal Determined Mom Show listener, you can save 20% by using the code PODCAST.